Ready for some more fun?
What's up, guys? This is Lucky. Welcome back. And this is the series where we make a game called Dropkick the Princess, which is kind of a little fun game where you dropkick princesses through a field goal. And I show you how to use a few Creativi-toys. Previously, we went over basically the replayer tool, and I showed you that how to record it, and then how to create a trigger that plays back what you recorded, and how to create a trigger that resets the playing field. But now, today we're going to cover scoreboards and counters. So we're going to go into Creativi-toys. We're going to find our scoreboard, and the scoreboard is for multiplayer, and that's if you're playing online with other players. This is what you're going to use to keep track for a multiplayer. It's not for co-op, just for multiplayer. So I'm going to lay that piece down, and I'm going to come over. Previously, we had done field goals and basically tied it to a party cannon. In this case, I want to say if the field goal is completed, I'm going to go to the scoreboard, and I'm going to increment the score by 1, which means add 1. I'm going to add 2, add 3, so on and so forth. Now, I'm going to set it up so that if you make it through the other field goal, it also increments the score by 1 as well. Okay? Now that I've done that, I want to go back to this trigger, which is basically our reset trigger that clears the board. I'm going to say create a new link, and I'm going to tie it to the scoreboard tool, and what I'm going to do now is set it to reset the scoreboard. And then I'm going to go back, and I'm going to create one more link. I'm going to say stepped on, new link, tied again to the scoreboard tool, and this time I'm going to remove the scoreboard so the whole slate is wiped clean. So that one trigger now becomes my master trigger, which basically kind of resets the whole game. Okay? Now, you want to go in and you can set your properties of what you're playing to. You can play to 5, 10, 15, 21, or 100. I set that basically for mine. For this particular exercise, we'll just set it to 5. More than likely, you're probably going to want to set it to like 20 for this game for practical purposes. And then once you do that, you're basically setting your limit. So whenever the player gets that, it's game over. And at that point, you will essentially trigger what happens when someone wins. So for this particular case, what we're going to do is we're going to say if player 1 wins, you've got player 2, 3, 4, and so on. We're going to go to one of the stadium pieces and say if player 1 wins, then we're going to make the stadium piece start cheering. Choose loud cheering. And then what I'll do to the other side is say if player 2 wins, then I will make the other side of the stadium start cheering. Now, like in the next one, I'll kind of show you how to build chains, which isn't so much a tutorial so much as it's smart building. I could create that link over and over again and basically say, you know, if player 2 wins, and tie it to each one of the pieces in the stadium. But instead, in the next one, I'll show you basically how to create chains. So you're only tying that event to one piece, and that one piece triggers all the other pieces. So here we go. I'm going to drop in my pieces, and we'll go through, and we'll kick a few field goals, and you can see how it works. Yeah, there you go. Fairy Godmother through the whole score. And you can see it brings up the scoreboard. You got players 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, this is for multiplayer play only. Co-op will not work, and then if you have a second player come in here under co-op, they'll all go into player 1. So it's basically whoever's playing with that system, I can score with. Either side works just fine. There you go, Snow White. So yeah, we're just gonna keep playing this until we get to 5. One more. Tinkerbell. Through the hoop. There we go. We got cheers. Reached 5. Now let's clear this puppy out. Our crowd is going nuts. They're going crazy. They're having fun. So now we're gonna clear this out because that was for multiplayer only. I like this game better in co-op. For co-op, we are going to use counter tool, counter toy. Okay, so I'll delete that. Removes all the links for it. Go in here. I'll get counter, which is Creativi-toys, right next to Scoreboard, and I will drop it in there. And then what I'll do basically is essentially the same steps that I went before. I will take this field goal. I'll say if the field goal is completed, I'll go to the counter and I will increment it by 1. Okay? I'll go to the other field goal and do the exact same thing. I'll say if the field goal is completed, go to the counter and increment it by 1. Now what this is doing basically, I'm also can say under properties you can give your target basically. How high are you counting to? Are you counting to 5? Are you counting to 4? Are you counting to 10? I set it to count to 5. I set it to increment by 1. Then I'm going back to my master kill switch, my master reset switch. I've added a new link, tying it to counter, and I hit reset. And the last thing is to say, go to the counter itself and say for the event, if the target is reached, if you count to 5, then what we're going to do is we're going to make someone in the stands start to cheer. Now, this particular setup that I just described describes pure co-op. That means both you and anybody on your console, you have player 1, player 2, you guys are sitting beside each other. Any field goal scored by anybody, automatically it counts to 5 or 10 or 20 or whatever you want it to count to, and then everything goes off and everybody wins. All right, which I think, that's our way. That's my preferred way to play this game because it's really about fun. It's really about drop kicking these little princesses to the thing and just laughing about it, And so that's personally the way I like to play it. Now, we'll show you very shortly how to do it with each goalpost counts its own individual score, and you do that using 2 counters. Here we go, come on. Booyah, 5, and there's our crowd going nuts. Awesome. So, that's the basic premise of it. Now, here we're gonna go, and we're gonna use basically another counter toy, and we're gonna set it up the exact same way, except what we're gonna do is we're gonna set this counter will work with one side and the other counter will work with the other side, okay, with the other field goal. So I'll go through and I'll just take just this field goal and I'll say field goal completed. I'll remove that link and then I'll click it and add it to this counter. So I went back to the field goal. I removed the link from the other counter so that if I kick it, it doesn't add a score to the other counter. And when I do kick it, it adds a score to this counter. So now we have 2 counters going, basically 2 tallies of our scores going. And I've also got to go back to my master kill switch. I'm going to add a reset to this counter so that when I step on it, it basically clears the playing field and it resets both counters. Okay? Now I'm going to set my event for when I reach 5. I'm going to say when I get my target reached, which is 5, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to trigger the other side of the stadium. So we know which side won. Now, you can go through here again and you can set this up over and over again to hit every one of those stadium pieces. But in the next tutorial, what I'm going to talk about is how to build chains. And chains isn't really so much a tutorial as it is about smart building. And that video will probably come out in like a week or so. I'm going to go ahead and put these 2 up pretty close to each other. That wraps it up for today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. This is Lucky. Peace.